Hi, welcome to Slow Flow to Go. So all you need today is a couple of cushions if you'd like those as extra support to start and finish class. So we're going to start in child's pose and then obviously we'll finish in Shavasana. So a couple of cushions will probably be really nice. Also, if you're on a hard floor or if your knees can get a bit sensitive, then we will do a little bit of work on the knees. So maybe grab a little folded up blanket or towel as well. So coming to start today in child's pose. So if you feel comfortable getting into child's pose, then go straight ahead. Otherwise, you may want a cushion in between calves and thighs. So big toes are together. And then you can either have your knees apart if you want to get a feeling of bringing the body down in between the legs, or if you want more rounding in the spine, you can keep the knees together. And then another cushion if you want to bring the forehead down onto, or an extra cushion in between the legs. So have a little feel around, see what feels good. But the cushions are there to support you. So big toes together, knees together or apart. Forehead comes down to the mat, and then the arms can either reach out in front, or if you prefer, they can come down by the sides with the palms up. So having a little play around here, seeing what feels good for your body. Maybe taking a little sway side to side on your hips. And then finding your way to stillness somewhere in the center. Starting off today by inhaling and filling the body in whatever way feels good for you. And then exhaling through your mouth. Noticing how when you take that exhale, maybe the body can sink down a little bit more, maybe it finds a little bit more looseness. And you can stay breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth if that feels comfortable, or any other thing that for you feels natural and feels good. Maybe beginning to notice how your breath fills your body as you inhale. What are the different places in the body that move and that expand so that your body can fill up with nourishing oxygen? So particularly in child's pose, it can feel really nice to breathe into the side of the body, into the back of the ribs, into the back of the body in general. So filling up that space at the back of the body. Often we don't think about breathing into the back of the body, but actually the lungs sit really far back in the body. So almost when we're thinking of filling the lungs, we're almost thinking of filling up the back of the body. So seeing what it maybe feels like to breathe in that way, to inhale, filling up the back of the body, and then exhaling perhaps through the mouth to release and let go. Taking a few more of those breaths at the start of class. Maybe with your exhales, you are able to relax down into this pose a little bit more. Release any muscles that are feeling a bit tight. And then inhaling, experience filling the body, the back of the body up. On your next inhale, bringing your hands forward if they're not already forward. And then coming up onto the fingertips and beginning to walk the fingers forward as far as feels comfortable. So you begin to get a little stretch in the shoulders. And then continuing to take those deep breaths. Noticing the sensations in the shoulders by being on the fingertips and by reaching them forward. And then bringing the hands flat to the ground, pressing into the hands to come up onto all fours. So hands directly underneath your shoulders if you can, and letting the hands be spread comfortably wide, seeing if the wrist creases can be parallel with the front of your mat. And then pressing into the hands so that the shoulders kind of are able to lift up and away, creating a bit of space rather than kind of sinking down and rolling up towards the ears. So creating a little bit of space across the top of the back. And then knees are underneath the hips and hips width apart. Starting off by taking a few cat-cows. So as you inhale, pressing through the hands, seeing if you can lift up the tailbone, almost a wave coming through the spine. Chest starts to draw slightly through the arms and the gaze lifts. As you exhale, coming the other way, so tucking the tailbone, and then beginning to find roundness through the spine, and finishing by tucking the chin. Inhaling, lower, the body sort of sinks down as the chest opens, so the belly sinking down, the chest opening. And then exhaling, pressing into the hands, getting a sense of the abdominals drawing in towards the spine as you tuck them round. Inhaling once more, lifting the hips, chest opens, finding broadness across the chest. And then exhaling, pressing through the hands, finding that roundness in the spine, the belly draws up towards the spine. And inhale back to center. Coming to take a little sit back on the heels here, and some circles with the wrists. So the wrists can get quite sore in yoga, so if at any point you're feeling sore, then do just sit back and do a few wrist circles. And what also can feel good is taking a few shakes through the wrist. That gets all the synovial fluid moving. So if at any point the wrist gets sore, feel free to sit back and do this, or if you want to, you can come up onto fists instead. So if you want to take fists for this next bit, then feel free. Otherwise, bringing the hands back down onto the ground. So really grounding down through the hands, checking that they're still underneath the shoulders. And then we're going to lift the right leg, bending the knee, and having the foot kind of pointing up towards the sky. So almost as if you're pushing the foot up slightly. And noticing what happens with the body here. Maybe the abdominals engage. Maybe the glutes engage, so the muscles around the bum. And then maybe pushing the foot up towards the sky and allowing it to lower a little bit. So kind of little pulses almost. So this is really, really good for the muscles and the glutes. And then lowering that knee down. We'll come on to the other side. So lifting up the left leg, bending the knee. And getting a feeling of the foot flexing, pressing up towards the sky. And then maybe you take little pulses here as well. So beginning to get a sense of how the muscles engage in this part of the body. And lowering the knee down. From here we'll come into a little balance. So lifting the right leg back, straightening it out and reaching away with the ball of the foot. And you can just stay here if you want with both hands down if that feels best. Or if you'd like to, you can lift that left arm up, reaching the fingertips away. So the left arm's right by the left ear, gaze is down to the ground, and seeing if you can engage through the abdominals to help provide a little bit of support. If you want to, on your exhale, drawing the elbow and the knee together, keeping the hand and the foot off the ground, and then reaching out. One more time. Option to draw them together. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. You can just keep that leg lifted or the leg and the hand lifted and reaching back out. And then lowering everything down. And if you want to, you can take a little sway side to side with the hips here. That can feel nice just to release your lower back. Coming on to the other side, so lifting up that left leg, reaching back with the ball of the foot, getting a sense of engaging through the abdominals first, so kind of tucking the lower ribs in, abdominals draw up towards the spine. And then if you'd like to, you can lift up that right hand as well, reaching out the right arm away with the fingertips. As you exhale, option to bring the elbow to the knee, keeping everything lifted. And then inhaling to reach back out. Exhaling, elbow to knee. And inhale, reaching out. And then lowering everything down. And you can take that little side to side with the hips if you want, or you can take circles with the hips, so whatever feels good. Finding our way back to center, we're going to take that lift with the right leg again, bending the knee like we did at the very beginning, pushing the foot up towards the sky. An option to stay here, you can do those little pulses again. Or if you'd like to, you can lift the left arm from the ground and reach back. Now you don't have to catch the foot here, so you can just reach the left arm back. Maybe there is space to catch the foot. Don't worry if there isn't, and if you do catch it, you're kind of pressing the foot into the hand, and that'll help you with your balance. And bring your gaze maybe just to the edge of the mat or down in between where the hands were. And then seeing if you can release, come back into reaching both arm and leg out, and then back down. And a little shake from side to side. So don't worry if you fell out there, it's quite a tricky little balance, and don't worry if you couldn't grab the foot, that's no problem at all. So just doing what feels good for your body today. When you're ready, you're going to lift that left foot up, bending the knee, and again, you can take those little pulses if you want, so this is a great option and really, really good for the body. If you'd like to, you can lift up that left arm, reach back, and then maybe there's space for you to grab the foot. If you do grab the foot, you're kicking the foot into the arm, so you're opening up the front of the right shoulder, and then that will help you with your balance. Really grounding down through the top of that foot through the hand, and then releasing, reaching forward and back with the foot and the hand, lowering down, and that little kind of shake from side to side. From here, we're going to do just a little bit of opening on the shoulders. So lifting the right arm from the ground, and then putting it underneath the left arm, palm facing up. And then you're bending that left elbow to lower down onto the right side of your face. So you come all the way down to the ground. And of course, if you want to, if it's not comfortable to come all the way down, pop your cushion there and lower down onto the cushion instead, that's okay. And then option here to lift the left hand from the ground, bend the elbow, bring it behind the back, and kind of tuck it into the hip crease on the right side. So taking kind of a little half bind here, opening up one shoulder one way, one shoulder the other way. And then untucking that left hand, bringing it back down to the ground, pressing through the hand to help you lift up, checking it's still underneath the shoulder, and then opening the right arm up, coming into an open twist. Right hand reaches up towards the ceiling. And you can follow that hand with the gaze if you want, or you can gaze out to the side if that's more comfortable. And then bringing that right hand down. So I'll do the same on the other side. So when you're ready, lifting up the left hand, comes underneath the right palm facing up, bending the right arm to help you lower down onto the left side of your face. Feel free to use the cushion if you want. And then that right arm lifts up and back, tucking in behind that little hip crease on the left side. And seeing what it feels like on this side. Maybe it's a little tighter on one side, a little looser on the other. And then releasing that right hand, bringing it down to the ground, pressing into the hand to help you come all the way up. Checking it's still underneath the shoulder, and if it is, then opening that left hand into a little open twist the other way. And then left hand back down to the ground, sitting back on the heels. And let's take those wrist circles again, because that's quite a lot of work on the wrists. So you might want to go a few times one way, a few times the other way. And then maybe you want to do those little shakes as well. Finding your way forward back onto your hands and knees when you're ready. Making sure the palms are comfortably open and wide, that those wrist creases are facing towards the front of the mat. And then tucking the toes under, we're going to press down through the hands, through the toes, and lift the hips up into downward facing dog. So starting here, you'll need to maybe adjust your feet a little bit, move them back a tiny bit. Checking the feet are still hips width apart, and starting with a nice big bend in the knees. So seeing if you can really press down through the hands and find length through the spine. Allow the head to be heavy. You can take a little nod from side to side, a little shake so that you can tell the head is relaxed. And bringing your gaze down in between the feet to the back of the mat or in between the legs. So allowing the head to really relax, looking backwards. And then if you want to, you can begin to pedal the feet. So bringing the right heel down as you come up on the left toes. And that'll open up the back of the right leg. And then as you inhale up onto both toes, exhaling, bringing the left heel down, opening up the back of the left leg. So coming through a couple of those, gently opening up the back of the legs. So really don't worry here about the heels coming down to meet the ground in downward dog. They can absolutely be lifted. What's more important is that the back is nice and long and that the head is relaxed. So you can always have bent legs in downward dog. You can always have the heels lifted from the floor. And then coming back to center and bringing the knees down, taking a little rest in child's pose. So bringing the big toes together and a little stretch back, forehead to the ground. Rising up onto all fours when you're ready. Bringing the feet and the knees to hips width apart again, tucking the toes, downward facing dog. So you can take a bend in the knees if you want, that's completely okay. And we're going to take some little waves in this position. So we're going to roll forward into plank, bring the knees down, move the hips back, and then press up into downward facing dog. Roll forwards into plank. Bring the knees down. Hips move backwards. Press through the hands, lift the hips, downward facing dog. So we'll take a couple more of these. You can stop and take a rest in child's pose at any point. And if you'd prefer, if on this last one, if you don't want to bring the knees down and you just kind of want to hover them, you can do that. So you can come into plank and then hover the knees and push back and up. Finishing in your downward facing dog. If you want to take a little rest in child's pose here, then bringing the knees down. Untucking the toes, bringing the feet together, forehead comes down to the mat. And then rolling forward into your all fours, tucking the toes under, bringing everything back to hips width, pressing through the hands and the feet, lifting the hips to downward facing dog. So knees are either bent or straight here, nice and long through the spine, nice and heavy through the head. And we'll give a little go at doing a one-legged dog. So pressing down through the hands, and what I recommend you do is bring the left foot to the center so that when you lift the right foot up, you feel really stable. And the right foot can be lifted up any amount, so it can be literally hovering just off the ground, or it can come a little further. Seeing if you can press down equally through both hands, and having that left foot in the middle will help with your balance a little bit. And then if you want to, you can bend that right leg and kind of open the hip a little bit. So having a little play around in this pose. And then bringing the hip back to center, and the right foot comes down, taking the feet to hips width again. Bending the knees, we'll take that little roll forward. So coming forward into your plank, bending the knees, lowering them down, and into child's pose. As you inhale, lifting up onto all fours, tucking the toes under, back into downward facing dog. So let's try one-legged dog on the other side. So bringing the right foot to the center this time, so that you can lift the left leg up. So again, you can have the left leg really low if that feels better, or you can lift it higher. Seeing if you can still get a feeling of grounding down through the right heel, so the right heel doesn't have to touch the floor, but just getting a sense of it reaching down. And then you can open up that left leg if you want, bending the knee. Back to center, bringing the foot back down, taking them back to hips width apart. And then we'll take that little wave, rolling forward into plank, bringing the knees down, and back into child's pose. On your next inhale, pressing through the hands and feet back to hips width, tucking the toes under, coming back into one more downward facing dog. And then walking the feet really slowly, coming up to meet the hands at the top of the mat. Once you get there, bringing the feet a little wider than hips width apart. One hand inside each elbow, and then exhale, allowing the head to be heavy, taking a kind of ragdoll position. You can sway from side to side. And the legs can be straight here, or if you prefer, they can be bent. It depends really what feels best for you. And then from here, releasing the hands, bending the knees, and we're going to come to take a sit down. So maybe bring the hands behind the body. And we're going to keep the feet in front. So sitting down, knees bent, feet in front. A hand coming onto each shin. And then we're going to take almost like cat-cows in this position. So as you pull into the shins, maybe you round the spine and tuck the chin. And then as you inhale, pulling against the shins to bring the chest forward, opening the chest if you can, and broadening across the shoulders, bringing the shoulder blades together at the back. Exhaling, rounding through the spine, tucking the chin. And then inhale, using your hands to help pull the chest forward, opening up and broadening across the spine. Coming through one more time. Exhaling to roll back, tuck the chin, round the spine. Inhaling to bring the chest forward, opening the chest, maybe the gaze lifts. And back to center. Coming into a little twist here. So bringing your left hand onto the right knee. Right hand comes behind the body. And then twisting open from the waist to the right side. As you inhale, coming back to center, one hand to each shin. And then right hand comes to the left knee or the shin. Left hand behind the body, twisting from the waist as you exhale. And coming into a twist on this side. So seeing if you can keep your knees and your hips in the same place. And it's just the upper body that twists and opens. And then inhaling back to center. Reaching both arms up, reaching tall through the spine. Exhale, arms come down. And then finding a way to lengthways on your mat, just in case you did turn around. Feet come to hips width apart. And bring in the hands so that the fingertips are facing backwards. And we're going to press up from here into a reverse kind of tabletop position. So like the all fours position that we come into for cat and cow, this is kind of the other way up. So you may need to adjust hands and feet when you get up there. You're going to want knees above ankles and shoulders above wrists. So pressing through hands and feet, lifting through the hips. And then head maybe that comes looking straight ahead, or maybe it feels comfortable to look up to the sky, or maybe to relax back. So really pressing up through the hips for one more breath. And then exhale, lowering back down. Wrapping the arms around the shins, tucking the chin, having a little fold forward. And then from here, coming into Shavasana. So whatever feels good today. And you can come back into child's pose if you particularly like child's pose. Or you can pop some cushions behind you and lower down onto your back if that feels nice. So taking care coming down. Getting cozy once you get there. Having a little play around, making sure you're in a position that will feel really comfy for at least a couple of minutes. So knees can be bent, legs can be out straight, the knees can knock together, feet can be wide. Maybe you want to open the arms out either to the side, palms facing up, or into a kind of cactus position to open up the shoulders and the chest. And once you get there, once you're feeling cozy, allowing your eyes to close. Noticing how your body feels now. How does it feel different to how it felt maybe at the beginning of class? Maybe taking a little moment to thank your body for everything it's been able to do. Maybe some of those poses were new poses today. Maybe you're building strength through the arms, through the wrists. Allowing your body to really start to melt down, feel heavy. Any places that are holding on. What happens if you say yes to those places? What happens if you let them melt down? Taking some time in stillness, in quietness, letting your body become heavy. Please stay here for as long as you are able to today, for at least a couple more minutes. Staying in your restful position, allowing your body to be open to relax. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.